I don't know. I'm still open on that one, but
me too. Yeah, sure.
I'm not doubting it yet, because the vampire mythos is definitely the whole Nosferatu.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean, I recently rewatched the Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula movie, and I mean, it's so powerful in that sense, that the scene where he basically denounces God in that beginning scene where his wife has died, and that was what makes him, I guess, in that sense, a kind of a Highlander type character also, or a Nephilim, or one who actually lives beyond the realm of ordinary reality, basically.
Right. Which leads us to Saint Germain and the Theosophical Society.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, we can't leave Madame Blavatsky out of this whole picture, and their worship of Saint Germain, and he being known as the man that would live forever. And he very much fits this vampire mythos, being that he is actually Prince Dragosky of Transylvania. Saint Germain was just an appellation applied to him.
Ah, okay.
He's actually a Transylvanian prince.
Huh.
And he fits this aristocratic vampire mythos very well.
Huh.
And is, of course, the lead icon of the Theosophical Society.
And, I mean, there are also, of course, connections between, let's see here, I'm actually searching for it right now as we speak, because I remember this article, Vlad the Impaler, or Vlad Tepes. This is the original Dracula, I guess, where the mythos spawned from, and allegedly, bringing it up right here now, Infowars.com, and article picked up from, let's see, Ancestry.com, and this is actually telling us that John Kerry and George Bush actually are related to Vlad the Impaler. I mean, that's quite interesting stuff. I mean
yes, and that's, you got to be very curious as to why they are so obsessed with their bloodline.
Yeah. And
why they work so hard to keep it pure.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel it's a heavy DNA connection. And when now that Len Horowitz has gone over to the Vatican and joined the Knights of Malta,
is that true?
I don't know. I read that on your website.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, because I haven't yet gotten confirmation that it was true. This was picked up from Arctic Beacon, Greg Szymanski's website, but I haven't seen anything yet on a comment from Horowitz on this. But I have to follow up on that for sure.
Well, the curious thing for me was I've been proposing this another mythos that's been interjected into our society at this time, mostly through Palladians, these extraterrestrials, are that we are turning to face the galactic core, and that this new radiation of light is what's causing the mutation in our genes. And Lynn Horowitz backs all this up with scientific data on the vibration of light and its effect on our DNA. And so I really am curious about this, because as we were talking with the mutants, I sometimes wonder if it's not due to the new vibration of light that was heralded in by the Y2K ceremony. And as we turn to face this new radiation coming from the galactic core, if we're not going to start to gain these abilities. And then I question whether or not HARP, which is exactly a frequency modulator, isn't set up to maintain our frequency so that we can't. I mean, if we just got a simple power of psychic, and this would, they'd lose all power. Everybody would know George Bush was behind 911. They wouldn't be able to pull the wool over our eyes as they do if we were all psychic. But of course, you wouldn't want to be manipulated yourself. So if you chip the population, then you can determine exactly whose frequency you modulate. So sometimes I wonder if the chipping and the HARP and all of this has to do with. And of course, as we were talking about the timeline that they're following, and it is all astronomical. We find that maybe because, this global warming debate, people are taking into account that all the planets in our solar system are heating, and Mars is developing an atmosphere. Have you heard about this new telescope that they have put up in the South Pole that's supposed to see trillions of years in the past? It's supposed to make the Vatican's telescope seem like a pair of binoculars.
Okay, really? I can't remember it right on top. There's so many news items passing through, so I actually might have put something up about this or read about it, but I can't remember it right now. How is this?
I just heard about it yesterday, so I haven't delved into it yet.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I got to check that out because again, as you say, the Vatican is building these telescopes, being able to pick up on the, I guess, infrared range mainly, and I mean, I had Andrew Collins on the show, and he has also released a DVD about this, about his book called The Cygnus Mystery. Have you heard about this? This is basically, the as you mentioned regarding the this is a different point in our points of sky where allegedly a whole lot of radiation is coming from. This is like a collapsed star in the Cygnus vicinity, and this is our, I guess we would call this the stork or either the swan, the constellation. So I don't know. Again, there's many things that we can connect to all of this, but I certainly agree that there seems to be the main issue with the shipping and the, as you say, the HARP technology is to actually hold back. I guess maybe evolution. I don't know.
Yes.
Very interesting stuff. I mean, who knows where it might lead? I mean, do you think that we could break free nonetheless from this? Basically, that they don't know all the parameters, so to speak, that actually are taking place and the stuff that is going on. Because I guess we could easily have a pole shift, something like this, and this would, fry the circuits in all the machines and stuff like this.
Yes, I find that they are not omniscient, and that they do tend to, and nature finds a way, as was put in Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
But you must wonder. I wonder why so much emphasis is being made by the military to create these what they call domes on the deep underground military bases.
Sure.
Why are they all going underground? Why are NASA scientists heading for the caves?
Yeah.
And yes, I am concerned about that.
Sure.
And a lot of people don't realize that Y2K was really a funding operation for these domes. The DoD, the Department of Defense, had 358 billion lines of code to go through for their Y2K ready, and they were getting paid $10 a line. And that's just the DoD.
Oh my God.
And it was front page news at this time that they were using this money to build what they called Command Central, which was supposed to route all of the resources through this subterranean base in an undisclosed location, including the stock market, which I found very curious when after 9/11 they said that the stock market had shut down, and I'm remembering, well, wait a minute, wasn't that what they built Command Central for? I mean, that was the whole purpose that was stated by the newspaper, that the subterranean base was for that very event. And so perhaps just like the Rothschilds used to manipulate these events by making stock market illusions, maybe the same thing occurred as we had a massive takeover after 9/11 through the stock market, and no one realized it because they thought it was shut down. And it definitely shouldn't have been, because they had built this back in Y2K.
Fascinating. And then, of course, we also have, I guess, other things that points to the preparation for something. We have news coming out about, this was a while back, of course, but still, the CIA approaching, Native American communities and buying seeds, with a whole lot of genetic diversity, while they at the same time are weakening the genetic diversity in the seeds that we have to our disposal, so to speak. And
absolutely,
yeah, and at the same time we have, I think it was either was an organization in Norway or a real physical facility. I don't know, but this was again basically about creating. I think it was called Project Noah or something like this, a facility to house, genetically diverse seeds, basically. So,
way back in the day, and I can't really confirm this story, but there were definitely pictures, and it's hard to trust and know, but there was a story back in the day of this Ark 2,
mm-hmm.
and the story went that there was a single prop Cessna flying through this mountain range, and he saw this submarine in a cave on top of a mountain with a slide to nothing. And so we've got this submarine on a mountaintop, and as he zoomed in on it with the camera, you could see that it said Ark 2 on it, and with this slide to nothing, as if it was waiting for a massive flood. And then the plane gets shot down. There's pictures of it going down. I guess the pilot was taking shots.
Mm-hmm.
But then the camera was found by a hiker, and he had the pictures developed, and that's how it made it to the internet.
To the new, okay. These type of events are fascinating. Again, Ark 2, we have stuff like Earth Base 1 or something like this, and these are all locations. This seems to be high up in the mountains somewhere, basically, and again trying to, I guess, duplicate the. I mean, I get a sense of my feeling is I connect this with. High up in the Andes, we have the the Machu Picchu type regions. I mean, cities right, up at the clouds, basically.
Yes.
And again, the mythology of those ancient times, where I guess the legend goes that this is where the kind of places where the god lives, and from the start of this age, I guess. And again, we have the potential of the global elite, I guess, to restart the whole thing once again over when we have this coming cataclysm or whatever it might be.
Exactly. And there is so much history to the past cataclysms, and it's really not debated.
Yeah.
That there were massive cataclysms in the past, and that we can expect them in the future, and even full-on crustal shifts or polar shifts of the planet.
Yeah, let's see. It's it's a very interesting time ahead here, and I mean we have all kinds of stuff coming up. We have of course, the big 2012 date, and either if it's something real or something manufactured or whatever, it seems to be at least pointing to the fact that there is a galactic alignment coming up, and that's, as far as I know, is a real physical event. So there we have that.
They were. That's the most curious thing about our ancient past, is that it is all based out into the stars. And even today in Freemasonry, they make no bones about mentioning their connection, and even with Theosophical Society, in the Lucius Trust, making their connections with Sirius. That's what I find most curious about all of this. And certainly, if I studied ancient architecture at Kansas University, and they'll tell you straight out that Egypt's history runs backwards. It starts with a high civilization and declines from there.
Yeah.
They have all mathematics, science, and medicines, and so one thing we can say for certain is that it's a transplant colony from somewhere, and most likely after a devastating flood. So I sometimes entertain the thought that the humans on planet Earth had a stronger human power, and that we did have these abilities.